Gin Clear, a condition of ultra-high visibility sought by scuba divers for the breathtaking radiance it brings to the world that surrounds them. Gin Clear Diver, the name of a new watch being launched by microbrand Second Hour. On this episode of Adventures with Time, we'll take a look at this dive watch to see what it offers and if it differentiates itself from other divers in the market. Welcome to another episode of Adventures with Time. This is an overdue video review of the Gin Clear Diver Watch from the new Australian-based microbrand Second Hour, founded and led by Peter Sargentson. I had planned to share my review of this watch by the end of April, before the Kickstarter campaign closed. Although this watch was shipped to me in early April, it sat in Melbourne because of the limited flights available due to the pandemic. But I have it now and will give you my thoughts. Then the watch gets sent back to Peter in Australia. First, a few things to point out to you. I am not being compensated for this review. Hence, you will get my honest opinion. Although the Kickstarter project has closed, there is still the opportunity to obtain one of these watches. I'll leave a link to the production pre-order site in the description. Feel free to contact Peter to see which color options are available and any specials he's offering at the moment. And note, the Kickstarter campaign was a success, meeting all stretch goals. So there are even more color variants available now than previously anticipated. Clearly, there are a lot of people interested in this watch and anticipating its release planned for September of 2020. Finally, the watch I have in hand is one of the prototypes. Peter has made several enhancements given feedback from the watch community. I'll point those out as I go through this review. But now, let's get the specifications of this watch out of the way quickly, since you can read them anytime on the website. And then I'll provide my thoughts about this watch. This brushed stainless steel case is a bit on the larger side with a 42.5 millimeter width at the coin edge of the 120 click unidirectional die bezel, which is 1 millimeter larger than the case itself. It comes in at 12.3 millimeters thick, excluding the domed sapphire crystal, which adds about another millimeter. Lug to lug is quoted at 49 millimeters and a lug width of 22. With the bracelet sized for my 7 7/8 inch wrist, the weight of this is 187 grams. This is with 2 links removed. The watch includes the Sellita SW200 automatic movement, which runs at 28,800 beats per hour, with a quoted 38-hour power reserve. You get a fairly nice bracelet with solid end links that start out at the 22 millimeter lug width and tapers down to 18 millimeters, with a milled clasp of 21.5 millimeters. On the back, a solid screw-down case back with the design of a sea turtle embossed into it. The watch sent to me is the black sand dial with gold gilt accented hour markers and hands. And there is BGW9 Superluminova on the hour indices, hands, and the bezel. One of the changes being made is that the ceramic bezel insert will be available with a matte finish if desired to provide additional readability. They are also increasing the amount of lume on the bezel and adding additional anti-reflective coating on the crystal. The dial printing is also being changed to remove the underlining of the company name, Second Hour, and the word diver is being eliminated from the writing just above the 6 o'clock hour marker. As I said, all stretch goals were met during the Kickstarter project, so the watch will now be available in 7 dial colors, 4 of which can be ordered with a date option. black and cream sand textured dial, both with and without date, pastel blue and Arctic white, again with and without date, and 3 enameled dials without date, green, blue, and red. If you were one of the first to get in on the Kickstarter campaign, you could have picked this watch up for about 640 Australian dollars. Based on the exchange rate when I first saw the campaign, this is just under $400. Now that the campaign is closed and they are in product pre-sale, you'll pay 740 Australian dollars, which is just under $500 US. For that price, you get the watch, a leather case, bracelet sizing tool, spring bar remover, watch cloth, and warranty card. Note that the watch case color has changed from what I have here to blue. So now, let me give you my opinion on this watch and its design. When I first saw a picture of this watch, specifically the black dial version, I thought it looked flat. After all, I just posted a video where I sold my Aragon Maelstrom, which had a similar black textured dial that I thought was boring. But this goes to show that careful thought given to coordinating the design elements can make a big difference in the aesthetics of a watch. Case in point, this Gin Clear uses gold gilt trim on the raised hour indices, which brings life to the dial in how they reflect the light like little sparkles. I also think that the textured dial has a bit more depth to it, providing additional play with the light. On the dial, they've added numbers on the minute track, just to add some visual interest. And the domed crystal provides just enough distortion and blue haze reflection from the anti-reflective coating to provide some interest without affecting readability. Finally, on the dial, although maybe not obvious at first, is the non-standard placement of the major hour indices. Usually we find a different, larger marker at the 3, 6, 9, and 12 hours. But here, Peter has placed them every 4 hours at 4, 8, and 12 o'clock. One might think this would make telling time confusing, but they really don't. It's just a nice departure from the standard layout to provide more interest to the dial. And this is with the black dial. Want to add a splash of color? Select one of the other dials. Now, I haven't seen them in person, but I expect the enameled dials will be fairly bold. I think the case and bracelet are fairly well proportioned for a daily wear watch. But remember, this is a 42.5 millimeter watch that is fairly hefty on the wrist. I prefer something just a little smaller, around 40 millimeters. But having worn this watch all day for about a week now, I can say it's very comfortable on my wrist and does not look too big on my 7 7/8 inch wrist. A few other design changes being made is the addition of a polished edge between the top and side of the case, sort of like a polished chamfered edge. This will provide additional highlights of interest to the case, along with those sharp edges to the bezel. And the slight overhang of that bezel not only provides interest, it also makes the grip of the bezel more secure. By the way, it's got nice bezel action for those of you who care and really use the bezel for diving. All in all, this is a nice daily wear watch with good specifications and some nice design details to provide visual interest. Is this a watch that is going to captivate me? I don't think so. But if you are looking for a solid dive watch with some nice design elements, this could be the watch for you. I think Peter has done a fine job with his first watch, and I can't wait to see what he comes out with next. It is hard to differentiate a watch, especially a dive watch, from the myriad of options on the market, especially under the $500 price point. So until my next video, I wish you well. My God, I think I need a haircut. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Maybe do it myself.